Okay, this is my last video comparing the types of anaerobic respiration. And then I'm just going to go through some practice exam questions with you. So you might have to pause the video when we get to the question, try and answer it yourself, and then I'll go through the answer. So when we want to compare the two types, what did we say the inputs were for both? So you might want to pause, try and answer these in your notes. We're just after the section on normal anaerobic respiration, and then we'll go through the answers. So what do we need to put in? In animals, we put in glucose. Okay, we also are going to put in 2 ADP plus PI. All right. Funnily enough, this is exactly the same as what we put in with yeast. Sorry. So anaerobic respiration plus glycolysis all have identical inputs. So you don't have to remember 3 sets of inputs. If you're talking about anaerobic respiration or glycolysis, we have the same inputs. So we put in glucose and we put in 2 ADP. And this is where it gets a little bit different. So first off, I'm going to go, my big output, the whole point of this is that I'm going to use some ATP. I'm going to get some ATP out. So they're the same, and I'm going to keep them in blue. Now, with animals, we don't make ethanol and carbon dioxide in our muscles. We make lactic acid, whereas in a in a yeast, we make ethanol and we make carbon dioxide. Now, my last question to you is, will this happen in a mitochondria? No mitochondria, because we are doing anaerobic respiration. So in both cases, this happens within the cytosol of the cell. So there's our little summary of those two there. So here's our first question. What I will do is, these are VCAR questions. So this is from the 2015 paper. So I'd suggest you pause and then you restart and you can go through the answers. Okay, let's go through the question. So our first question here says the production of ATP is represented by the following equation. ADP plus PI becomes ATP. Okay, so we're building things up. So is it a catabolic reaction? No. To me, this would be an anabolic reaction. Does it require an overall input of energy? So think about it. If we're anabolic, we're building, and this needs energy. So that's a reasonable answer. So we'll leave that one there. Occurs only in the absence of oxygen. No, because we can make this in the ETC. And occurs only in the mitochondria of the cell. No, because of glycolysis in the cytosol. So to me, our answer has to be B. Okay, next question, give it a pause. All right, during photosynthesis in chloroplasts, energy is used to split water, forming oxygen and hydrogen ions. The splitting of water occurs. So to me, straight away, I think this is LDR. So where does the LDR happen? We've got that happens in the grana. And I like to annotate my questions with what's going on. So the first one says it happens in the stroma. Nope, that one's going to be wrong. Happens in the grana in the LDR sounds right. Okay. On the membrane of the thylakoids also sounds right, but the light independent reaction sounds wrong. On the surface of the outer chloroplast membrane, outer, no. Okay, so again, our answer to this question, our answer to this question here is going to be B. Now the question, give it a pause. So question 8, an increase in the atmospheric CO2 level increases the rate of photosynthesis. The rate of photosynthesis increases because, okay, so we're doing CO2 level. So if we increase CO2 level, we're going to increase my LIR reactions, okay, not my LDR, because LDR depends on water. So the rate of light independent reactions on the thylakoid membranes of the chloroplasts increases. So yes, the LI will increase, But where is it? Not on the thylakoid. This is in the stroma. Okay, so that bit's wrong. Water loss from the leaf decreases, resulting in availability of water for photosynthesis increasing. So CO2 has got nothing to do with the amount of water available to the plant. So we're going to get rid of that one. The increased CO2 level lowers the pH inside the chloroplasts and increases the rate of enzyme catalyzed reactions. So there's a few reasons why this one's wrong. If you lower pH, it's more than likely going to decrease your rate of reactions. But also we haven't really learnt anything about CO2 being linked to pH. The last question here, the rate of light independent reactions in the stroma. So light independent in the stroma, so that's right, increases with the increase in CO2 level. So I like to go through each question, tick where it's right, cross out where it's wrong, and then I'm definitely certain on my answers. Got two more questions. This one here has got samples of a water plant were placed and fish. So we've got water plants and fish. So what I'm thinking of here is I'm thinking photosynthesis, and this one I'm thinking cellular respiration. The fish were provided with food, so that means they had a source of glucose. The tanks were isolated from each other and each was illuminated by different coloured lights. Okay, so they've taken the coloured lights off, but let's have a think about which one is going to produce the most oxygen. So for those of you that followed me through on the chlorophylls questions before, green light is not going to be a good one, okay, because green light is reflected. Okay, yellow light is also quite reflected, so we're going to get rid of those as an option. So now I'm down between red and blue. If I look at my chlorophyll absorption spectrum, it looks a bit like this. This is the section that is red. So the one with the most oxygen in the tank is going to be Q. It is important that it's not on the current study design, but I like to go through some of these questions because they're nice for you to work through as puzzles. Last one, give it a pause. Welcome back. So mitochondria, do they contain circular DNA? That sounds reasonable. Are they the site of glycolysis? No, because that's in the cytosol. Do they prepare proteins for the Golgi complex? No, that would be a ribosome. And so anything that's preparing proteins. Do they produce 2 ATP molecules? No, they're going to produce at least 30 and up to 34 ATP. So that one's not correct. So our final answer here is going to be A. And that's the end of those questions.